Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Bill Maley. Pull the microphone in a little bit. Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and I'm pleased to welcome you all to our December 14th, 2022 meeting of the Brighton Town Board, whether you're with us here at Brighton Town Hall in person, or if you're joining us on Zoom or watching our live stream. We will begin the open forum portion of our meeting shortly. The open forum is the opportunity for members of the public to share their comments with the town board about matters relating to the town of Brighton. Just a heads up, if you're watching us on YouTube or on our cable access channel, you will have to log into Zoom in order to access the open forum. In other words, to participate in the open forum. There are detailed instructions for doing so on the Town of Brighton webpage, www.townofbrighton.org. We do continue to make our meetings accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing community with our ASL interpreters. And as is usually the case, welcome Allie and Heather. Thank you both so much for the work you do to make our meetings accessible. Just as a reminder, the agenda for tonight's meeting, as well as all the materials that we will be reviewing in making our decisions, are available on the Town of Brighton webpage. We'll start the meeting with the pledge. Chris, I will ask you to lead us. If you're able to stand, please do so.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a couple of proclamations tonight, but before we start with those proclamations, I want to remind the community that it was 10 years ago today that the horrific mass shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut took place. New Year's is a time for resolutions, and now, more than ever, as we see shooting after shooting after shooting, in schools, in grocery stores, and on the streets of our cities, we must resolve this New Year's to get serious about gun violence. Not with scary, grainy videos designed to scare people into voting for a political candidate, but with real actions that get guns off our streets. The time is now. The time actually was a long time ago. But if not us, then who? Let us observe a minute of silence in memory of the students and teachers killed at Sandy Hook Elementary School, and let us make our own personal resolution to take action to break the cycle of violence that is killing so many of us. Thank you. We do have two proclamations tonight. I will read them from right here. The first one was actually issued on December 1st. We haven't met since then, but December 1st this year, and as it is every year, is World AIDS Day. So we issued this proclamation on World AIDS Day. Whereas, since the first cases of AIDS were reported over 40 years ago, an estimated 84 million people have been infected with HIV, and 40 million people have lost their lives to this disease. Whereas, although great strides have been made in the treatment of HIV/AIDS, there are still 38 million people living with HIV around the world, of which 1.5 million are new infections this year, and sadly, 650,000 people died of AIDS-related causes in 2021. And whereas UNAIDS cautions that the world is off track from delivering on its shared commitment to end AIDS by 2030, not because of a lack of knowledge or tools to beat AIDS, but because of the structural inequalities that obstruct proven solutions to AIDS prevention and treatment. Whereas this year's World AIDS Day theme, putting ourselves to the test, achieving equity to end HIV, highlights the urgent need, to end the inequalities that drive HIV/AIDS. Whereas on World AIDS Day, let us act on the knowledge that ending economic, social, cultural, and legal inequalities must be a top priority for freeing the world from HIV/AIDS. And remember that inequality and inequity hasten the spread of diseases as epidemics thrive on poverty, poor health care, and a lack of education. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, on behalf of myself and the members of the Brighton Town Board, hereby recognize December 1, 2022 as World AIDS Day in the town of Brighton, and encourage our residents to help move the nation and the world closer to an HIV-free generation by educating themselves and others about HIV/AIDS prevention and the profound impact of systemic inequality which fuels HIV/AIDS and other epidemics. This proclamation was signed on the first day of December 2022 by myself as Town Supervisor. Our second proclamation tonight recognizes December as National Impaired Driving Prevention Month. Now, as we know, the holidays can be a time of great joy and celebration, but the holidays are also a time of parties that can lead to bad decisions about impaired driving, devastating lives in an instant. The fatality rate in traffic accidents is at its highest every year in December. And for that reason, December is National Impaired Driving Prevention Month. I will now read this proclamation, but I also want to encourage everyone to drive safely and act responsibly during the holidays and throughout the year. Whereas thousands of lives are needlessly lost each year on our nation's roadways because of alcohol and drug-impaired driving, leaving grief-stricken families and hurting communities in the wake of needless tragedies. Whereas driving while impaired by any substance, legal or illegal, is dangerous, and alcohol, illicit drugs, and even over-the-counter or prescription medications can impair a driver's judgment, decrease motor coordination, and slow the reaction time needed to safely operate a motor vehicle. Whereas December is National Impaired Driving Prevention Month because traffic fatalities increase significantly during this month, painfully underscoring the need to talk about the danger of driving impaired and ways to prevent it. Whereas the Brighton Police Department works in partnership with Monroe County's Stop DWI program to provide increased police details to get impaired drivers off the road, improving safety for all travelers. And whereas during National Impaired Driving Prevention Month, we reaffirm our commitment to preventing impaired driving, and we remember the victims of impaired drivers and honor their memory by making the responsible decision to drive sober and ensure that others do the same. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Brighton Town Supervisor William W. Maley, and my colleagues, members of the Brighton Town Board, do hereby declare December as Impaired Driving Prevention Month in the town of Brighton, and remind everyone to stay safe, sober, and focused on the road. And this proclamation has been signed this 14th day of December, 2022, by myself and by all of the members of the Brighton Town Board. Please stay safe this holiday season. And I do want to reiterate one of the things the proclamation said. I'm grateful. We have Chief Cathaldi here, as he is at almost all of our meetings, but I'm grateful to the Brighton Police Department for the work that you do, the department does, to fight impaired driving, certainly especially in December, but throughout the year, working in concert with other law enforcement agencies and other groups in the community working to end impaired driving. So thank you for that. All right, we will now begin our open forum, which we hold at the beginning of every town board meeting. The open forum is an opportunity to address the board concerning any matter relating to the town, whether or not it's an item on our agenda tonight. Now, if you would like to address the public hearing, which we will be holding in just a moment, on the proposed removal of trees located at 160 Chelmsford Road or 1393 Clover Street, and would like your remarks included in the record of that hearing, I would encourage you to wait until I do call that hearing, and I will be doing that in just a few minutes. If you're here in person and would like to speak during the open forum, you can raise your hand and we'll recognize you. If you're participating in the meeting remotely and you wish to speak during the open forum, or for that matter, during the public hearing, as I mentioned at the start, you must join the meeting on Zoom. There are detailed instructions for doing that on the town's webpage. Then I would ask you to use the Zoom raised hand function, and you will then be admitted to speak by the administrator of the Zoom meeting. I ask all speakers, whether in person or remotely, to please state your name and address. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. I will give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. We may not be able to answer questions, particularly if your question relates to a matter that's not on the agenda this evening. But our goal here tonight and during the open forum at all of our town board meetings is to give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with the board and for us to be able to listen to your words. Therefore, please direct your remarks to the town board and not to the room or other speakers. Please refrain from personal attacks and from outbursts of any kind during the open forum, out of respect for the other speakers and for the time of everyone here tonight. So is there anyone here in the room tonight that would like to address the board during the open forum? Please raise your hand if you would. Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to address the board during the open forum? Seeing none, we'll move on with the agenda. Chris?
Bill, I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. We'll now go to public hearings, and we have one public hearing tonight. That's a public hearing on the proposed removal of a box elder tree located adjacent to 160 Chelmsford Road and a silver maple tree located adjacent to 1393 Clover Street, although it's actually on Rowland Parkway. The tree is located on Rowland Parkway. Dan, has the necessary legal notice been given and mailed out on this matter?
Yes, notice was in the November 30th edition of the Daily Record.
Great. And the postcards were sent out to...
Yeah, the notices were sent out November 15th, well ahead of the 20-day requirement.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Dan. Then I declare this public hearing on the proposed removal of those two trees to be open. Is there anyone here that would like to address the board concerning the removal of those trees? Yes, sir. Come on up to the podium if you would, and please state your name and address, and the floor is yours.
Hi there.
My name's Neil Lafferty. I'm the property owner at 1393 Clover Street. And I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to speak to you. And also, I'm happy that I understand now that the street I live on is named Rowland. I was saying it wrong. So there are actually, the reason I'm here is that I had written to Mr. Guyon in a fairly detailed email, but there's actually two different silver maple trees that are very close to each other. And they're both in fairly bad or mediocre condition. And so I would just like the board here to consider possibly removing the second tree in addition to the first. And if trees are removed at that property, I would really like to encourage the town to plant new trees in their place, because I think the trees add a lot to that neighborhood. Again, thank you. I'll keep it short.
Thank you. Mike, maybe you can
Yeah, I can
address
expand
both
on
of
that.
those issues. Yeah, thank you.
We will be planting replacement trees well, replacement tree for right now for the tree we'll be removing. We did look at the other tree. We are recommending the replacement and removal, or removal and replacement of that tree. So we're recommending it gets removed and it gets a replacement tree. It went before the tree council just recently. Tree council wrote a letter. I think we wrote a letter to the tree council December 5th. So it'll go to the tree council next month.
Okay.
And we'll come back. It's a 46-inch silver maple. It's a big tree. We'll have to hold another public hearing for it, and then we'll go through the process. But it looks like it's on its way. It didn't get a great review, let's put it that way. So.
Silver maples, it's a recurring theme.
Of note also,
Yeah, Mike.
Supervisor, is the tree at 160 Chelmsford, the 37-inch box elder, we have on our list just to be removed. When it went to the tree council, they also recommended, instead of just removing, that we also provide a replacement tree. So we will be providing a replacement tree for that location.
Always good to hear. And thank you, Mr. Lackery, for coming out. Anyone else like to address the board on this public hearing? Hearing none, I declare this public hearing to be closed. Now I'll ask Councilmember Corrado for a motion.
Happy to do so. The matter of the removal and replacement of a box elder at 160 Chelmsford Road and a silver maple at 1393 Clover Street on Rowland Parkway. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
Any discussion? And again, I want to stress, and thank you, Mike, there will be replacement trees planted in the, what do you expect for a timeline on?
It's hard to say. Mostly, Supervisor, we sort of expended our budget this year, so we probably won't be taking those down until next year. And the trees, at the earliest, would be next fall, the replacement trees, but more likely 2024, spring of 2024. So that's where I would see them getting planted, Bill.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. We have 3 items of communication this evening. Can I have a motion to receive and file those?
So moved?
Thank you, Robin.
Second.
Those 3 items include a police officer retirement, Officer Sean Houseman. Chief,
Yeah, Sean's been with us for about 15 years, and he's definitely going to be a loss. In his retirement letter, he was very frank. He always wanted to be known as a street cop, and that's really one of the highest respects that you can give an officer, that you call them a street cop. They know the street, they know the community, they know their car beat, and that really describes Sean, and we're certainly going to miss him.
very good. Thank you. Well, you know, as is always the case, we really do appreciate the work he's put in, and all of our officers. We wish him well. Another one, you received a $50 donation, which is always nice. And thank you, Lynn Ferris, for that donation. And finally, We have correspondence from our Recreation Director, Becky Cotter, accepting a donation of $800 from the Jack Lubell Foundation. So, Robin, if I could ask you to amend your motion, we've already received and filed those, but also if you would include gratefully accepting donations from Lynn Ferris and the Jack G. Lobel Foundation in your motion.
I accept those friendly amendments.
Thank you. And Jason, you'll...
Second, yes.
Great. Any discussion on any of those? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wiltz?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Committee reports next. Robin, Community Services.
Thank you, Bill. The Community Services Committee has not met in the intervening time frame since our last town board meeting. I do have a few quick updates from our Parks and Recreation Department heads. From our Recreation Department, registration is still being accepted for our December recess camp. The camp runs from December 27th through the 30th, from 8:45 in the morning until 5 p.m. The cost is a modest $50 per day. We do have a number of other great December break program options, so if you'd like to check those out, please do go online to register. The website is www.townofbrighton.org/rec, REC. Our Brighton Farmers Market is in the last throes of its extended summer season. It is open one last Sunday through December 18th from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. That is in the Brighton High School parking lot. The market will be closed in January or February. There were plans to reopen the market indoors at the Brookside Recreation Center on March 5th from 10 a.m. to noon. Our upcoming programs within the Recreation Department include line dancing, very popular, babysitter training, home alone safety, and lunch out and about. And then an update from our Parks Department. Park staff are conducting daily maintenance tasks, especially on our trails this time of year, keeping them clear of debris. The final nature trail cutbacks have been conducted for the season. All athletic fields have been aerated and overseeded, and our seasonal bathrooms were closed for the winter season beginning on November 1st. All fire alarm inspections and annual maintenance of lodge heating systems have been completed, as well as preventive maintenance and tune-ups been performed on our park equipment. The next meeting of the Community Services Committee will be next Wednesday, December 21st at 9:30 a.m. at the Brookside Recreation Center. Please do access the Recreation Department through the Winton Road entrance, and as always, members of the public are invited and encouraged to attend.
Thank you, Robin. Jason, Finance Administrative Services.
Yes, the Finance and Administrative Services Committee met last Tuesday, December 6th. Each of the items discussed in committee appear on tonight's agenda and will be discussed and voted on. Other items that were discussed was the 2023 meeting schedule for the committee, and we'd like to consider keeping the meetings on Wednesday mornings at 8:30 year-round rather than having that time and date as our summer hours, and then the Tuesday at 3:30 for the remainder of the year. So Paula is going to prepare an updated schedule for consideration at our next finance meeting. And the other item that was also discussed was the RPTL exemption limits for senior citizens and people with disabilities. And Assessor Pam Post updated the committee with the resolution passed by the Rush Henrietta School District, increasing the limits for this exemption to $36,000 annual income with a sliding scale to $44,400 in annual income. So there are a lot of options for the committee to review, and that remains tabled for further discussion and review amongst the committee members and the full board. Our next meeting will take place next Wednesday, which is next Tuesday, December 20th. We meet at 3:30 in the afternoon here at the auditorium at Town Hall, and the public is invited to attend.
Thanks very much, Jason. Public Safety, Chris?
Thanks, Bill. Public Safety met yesterday morning. We've got reports first from the Brighton Ambulance Corps, and they had a total of 795 requests for services, of which 564 were within the Brighton Ambulance District, serving 302 Brighton residents, as well as 67 calls for mutual aid. The call volume is increasing, up 16% from 2001 and 13.7% for the same period this past year. EMS staffing continues to be a challenge. We continue to have a full roster, but we're always worried that when the need arises, that the pool of applicants has been thinning. The Ambulance Corps has, however, completed or is just now completing an instructor training in the mental health area to respond to mental health events, which are at so many times at the core of so many calls, both to the police and the ambulance and the fire corps. And so our Ambulance Corps is trained as trainers, and they're going to now reach out to the rest of the community, community-wide, county-wide, to provide that same training, which they feel is missing from the curriculum, they note, even for training of EMT staff. Brighton Fire did not attend, although I do note that their commissioner election was being held that same day. The Department of Public Works reported on the wrapping up of their final leaf pickup, although they will continue to pick up leaves, bulk leaf pickup during the season as long as they can, and but anticipate the first snowfall coming up perhaps tomorrow. And they thank the police department for their efforts in enforcing no parking on the streets during snow season overnight. So please keep your cars off the street. They do impair the clearing of your streets, and they will be ticketed and towed. Brighton Police reported on 54,279 calls to the end of November. They also reported that we participated in the, on December 3rd, the Stop DWI Lights On for Life motorcade, which went from Highland to Lake Ontario in Schlott, with any number of different agencies participating in that motorcade. How long was the motorcade, Chief, do you recall?
I know there was a lot of there were fire trucks, ambulance personnel, and again, it went all the way up to Charlotte. So it was a good, it was quite a ride.
But as the supervisor has said, this is the time of year for parties, people getting in their cars. Please, it is so easy to have too much to drink and not realizing it. When you take that first drink, remember, this may be your night. If for nothing else, then you might get stopped. But forbid that you have an accident and someone is injured. It's something to keep in mind at all times during the holiday season. Have fun, but keep the drinking down. And also the police department reported that they had delivered toys to Willow Domestic Violence Shelters so the kids would have something to open on Christmas Day. Henrietta Fire District reported remotely with their incidents to date, of which 755 calls year to date in West Brighton, with 77 in November. They've received new equipment, will be receiving new equipment in January and February, and they hope to be back to full staff in January when 2 career firefighters they're back to full staff until January when their firefighters are being deployed overseas with the U.S. Air Force. There were 2 working fires in Henrietta. I don't believe they're in West Brighton, however. But one was a heat gun turned on while power was off and then neglected to be turned off when the tower was reactivated, and the heat gun caused that fire. That one was an unusual circumstance, but the other they're seeing more of are the 2 lithium-ion battery-related fires. And Fire Marshal reported that these fires are going to be more common these days. We have to be very cautious about recharging lithium batteries. Now, those might be e-bikes, or battery packs from any number of different devices, or even your cell phone. One of the things to be wary of, as the fire marshal indicated, was aftermarket cables and chargers. They may not be up to the task as the original OEM models. We had a brief discussion about the review of the town roads in general in anticipation of a blanket reduction in speed limit, perhaps in accordance with the governor's legislation, to 25 miles an hour. And we're still looking at the cost of that program. In addition, the Brighton Police Department reported on their monitoring of speed on Warren Avenue in response to, one, just a general concern about cut-through streets in general, but also in response to a citizen's request that we considered speed humps. They reported that the average speed on Warren Avenue is about 25 miles an hour, which is the speed limit there. The high speed noted was 31 miles an hour, and they did give approximately one ticket a day. 23 out of 25 days tickets were issued, but on average one a day. It seemed to be well within the standard use of the street and within the standard safety standards. Therefore, it does not appear that speed humps are in order at this time. However, the concern was that when the Whole Foods market might open in the next spring, that they may see an increase in traffic there, and of course we will continue to monitor anything that arises there. Council member Christine Corrado reported on the high school striping for parking and a stop sign there, which has been helpful for safe exit from the school parking.
The bus loop.
Bus loop in front, driveway in the front. And that concluded the meeting, and our next meeting is Tuesday, January 10th at 0800 hours. Hope to see you there.
Thank you very much, Chris. And last, Christine, Public Works.
Public Works, yes. Public Works met on December 6th and covered a range of matters. We had an update on the winter farmers market. The general contractor indicates that he would like to start construction this winter, weather permitting, and the early start will expedite the project's schedule and improve the likelihood of the farmers' winter market occupying and using the new building at Buckland Park by the fall of 2023. A pre-construction meeting is scheduled for January 4th, 2023. Staff from the Department of Public Works and the Facilities Department will be responsible for coordinating the various contractors, organizing and maintaining all documentation, and inspecting the contractor's work. And this will place an additional burden on DPW resources, which may impact other projects in 2023. Plates will be very full in that department, but
yeah, there's a lot of work there.
But many capable people on the job. Regarding the schedule of Public Works meetings in 2023, similar to FASC, we'll be adjusting the schedule so that the meetings coincide with the dates for public safety, following public safety immediately afterwards, beginning at 9:15, or when public safety wraps up, depending on the volume of discussion. So,
we'll move along.
as we do. Public safety is very good at staying on track.
You set the standard, Christine.
I try. We also addressed the townwide speed limit reduction. Public Works Committee discussed the anticipated administrative costs to complete the necessary engineering to adopt a townwide speed limit of 25 miles an hour. Discussion led us to recognize that the town roads can be grouped into two categories. Group 1 representing the roads that are located primarily within residential subdivisions, and Group 2 consisting of roadways that convey traffic through town with much higher volumes, larger corridors. The engineering criteria for Group 2 roads is substantially more complex than Group 1, And the Public Works Committee has asked that the engineering proposal include an alternative to exclusively evaluate Group 1 roads. And we are still anticipating that proposal to come through. Very good news, electric town vehicles are on their way. The DPW expects to accept delivery of its first fully electric vehicle. You've accepted it already?
Oh, that got delayed, it'll be here next week.
Next week,
Yep.
so maybe with balloons and sparklers and confetti. Additionally, the delivery of an e-transit van for the facilities department is anticipated in 2023. The town is seeking a grant to install several EV charging stations that will be used in part to supply our electric vehicles. And in the interim, the DPW proposes installation of a sign at the existing EV charging station at Town Hall, indicating that after 5 p.m. the station is reserved for town vehicles. The town logo will also be installed on the new vehicles, so look for those around town. On matters of trees, the Public Works Committee reviewed the following trees and was in agreement with their removal and replacement as recommended by the Tree Council. Those trees are 342 Meadow Drive, a 54-inch silver maple, 220 Thackeray Road, a 30-inch sugar maple. Say those things 10 times fast, and I guarantee you will struggle too. 96 Chadbourne Road, a 21-inch sugar maple, all to be removed and replaced. The letter to the Tree Council also included a tree along Buford Street, and the Tree Council agreed with the removal of this tree and indicated that a replacement tree should be provided. By the time the Tree Council saw this, the tree was dead and deemed dangerous by the Commissioner of Public Works and was removed prior to the Public Works Committee meeting and therefore not included on the agenda. So thank you for the swift action on that. Dead trees are scary trees.
Yes, yes.
The next meeting of the Public Works Committee will be January 10th, 2023 at 9:15 or 15 minutes after the close of public safety, and we encourage the public to join us.
Thank you, Christine. New business, reading and approval of claims. Jason.
Yes, earlier today I reviewed claims totaling $2,457,836.60. Notable claims include to the New York State Employees Retirement System in the amount of $901,709, representing the annual payment into the New York State Retirement System for town employees. Also to the New York State Police and Fire Retirement in the amount of $1,107,217, representing the annual payment into the New York State Retirement System for police and firefighters. Also to the Monroe County Director of Finance in the amount of $106,418.87, representing October electricity charges. Also to Plant Concepts in the amount of $16,956, representing payment for the grass mowing in the parks for October and November. And finally, to Horticulture Association of Rochester in the amount of $5,807.45, representing payment and freight for blue flag irises and daylilies. The claims all appear to be in order, and I move that they be approved.
Second?
Discussion on any of those? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye, and Jason, why don't you do the next one as well?
Yes, the next matter seeks to approve a budget amendment transferring $3,500 from the Personnel Department's attorney's fees account to the computer equipment account to fund the purchase of 2 laptop computers. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second?
Discussion on that? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Christine, if you would do the next one.
Certainly. The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Sylvia Staples for assessment consulting services in an amount not to exceed $5,000 for a term ending December 31st, 2023. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
Any discussion on that matter? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Robin, if you would do the next one, please.
Certainly. The next matter seeks to approve a budget amendment transferring $2,850 from the Public Works Department's Maintenance Repair Services account to the Maintenance Equipment account to cover a budget coverage and the purchase of 2 new vacuums. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Chris?
Next item is to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Speedy's Cleaners for police dry cleaning and laundering for a 1-year term beginning January 1, 2023, with the option of 3 annual renewals. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
And as you'll see, there's a schedule there of costs for the various different items. Any discussion? Anything, Chief, you need to say about that?
No, it's a routine contract. We've been with Speedy's now for at least a couple of years. They really came through for us during the pandemic. The contract was reviewed by the town attorney and gave it the thumbs up, so we're ready to move forward.
And we do have the option, at our option, to extend it for up to 3 additional years. We have the motion and the second on that. If there is no more discussion, then Dan, if you would please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Christine?
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Elmer's Brighton Garage for vehicle maintenance and repair services for a 1-year term beginning January 1, 2023, with the option of 3 annual renewals. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
We had Speedy's, we've got Elmer's. It's always great when we can do business here locally. We have a motion and a second on that. Any further discussion? Again, it's got the potential to be extended for 3 additional years. Up to 3 additional years. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Chris?
Next item is to approve the flat wage schedule and the title of Fire District Liaison for work with the Henrietta Fire District in West Brighton in the amount of $2,743 per year effective January 1, 2023. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
This involves Chris Roth. For many years, Chris had served in this slightly different title of Fire Protection District Administrator, in which he interacted with the West Brighton Fire Protection District. That protection district no longer exists, as most people know. Fire service in West Brighton is now provided by the Henrietta Fire District, and Chris will continue in this new title at a somewhat reduced rate of compensation, anticipating there will be less need for his services with the current provider. Any further questions, any comments on this matter? Then hearing none, Dan, if you'd call the roll, please.
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Christine?
The next matter seeks to declare as surplus one 2008 Ford Crown Victoria sedan to be sold at live or online municipal auction. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second. This is the end of an era.
Yeah.
Classic. Crown Vic.
14 years old. I think it's time. Any discussion? Hopefully we'll get some return at auction.
I'm just curious to know how many miles are on a 14-year-old.
Don't know off the top of my head, Christine, but I'm pretty sure it's over 100,000,
I can imagine.
particularly being a Brighton PD car.
Mhm, That car's seen an awful lot.
Sure has.
Dan, please call the roll on that motion.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye.
Before we get to this next matter, I just want to disclose that since 2021, I've served on the Board of Trustees for the New York State Municipal Workers' Compensation Alliance. I serve without compensation. I am advised that there's no requirement under the general municipal law that I recuse. However, out of an abundance of caution, I am going to choose to recuse from this next matter.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jason. We'll call you back after this item. And once Jason gets out of the room, Robin, if you would make the motion.
So the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with the New York State Municipal Workers' Compensation Alliance for the provision of workers' compensation and employers' liability insurance for a 2-year contract effective January 1st, 2023, proceeding through December 31st, 2024, in an amount not to exceed $363,440 or $181,720 annually. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
This is really great news. We had a meeting, as we do each year, with the folks from Comp Alliance, as well as our insurance broker. They gave us the good news. The premium will be going down about, well, slightly more than 7.5% next year, over $15,000 per year for each of the next 2 years. Great news. I know Paul of the Finance Department has primary contact on a lot of these matters, and you've been happy with
We've been very happy, and the state's changed their methodology to reward those agencies that have, they're demonstrating better safety protocols, less injuries for their workers, so that those agencies are getting more of a reward from all those programs that they're putting in place. Therefore, we see all benefit of that because the town of Brighton has an excellent track record of no injuries or low injury rates for our staff.
the statistics really were phenomenal as they presented them. They've been low, but still getting lower. So it was wonderful to see, and this is the reward for that. Thank you. We have a motion and seconded for this new Workers' Comp Alliance agreement. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye.
I texted.
Oh, thanks, Robin.
There he comes. Oh, he was.
I was enthralled by the message board outside the clerk's office.
Now that you're back, I'll ask you to handle the next one.
All right, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to amend the agreement with Paragon Compliance LLC for services related to compliance with the Affordable Care Act by increasing the per employee per month charge from $1.25 to $1.33 and adding the fulfillment light service for IRS Form 1095 generation. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
It's a small increase, but Paula, if you could
It
Talk about
is.
this a little bit.
When the town of Brighton joined the FLMHIT, the Finger Lakes Municipal Health Insurance Trust, and the ACA regs changed, we entered into an agreement through the trust with HB Solutions at the time, and then changed their name to Paragon to track our employee data. Since that time, they've charged us $1.25. This is the first increase in that contract since then. And as the forms are generated, we pay $1 per form to be able to just get them, fold them, and mail them. And that is a tremendous time saver for us. So they're a great company, and they do a great job.
And what was that, 6, 7 years ago that,
I believe it was around 2016. I wasn't with the town at the
so
time. I was with a different town.
6
So
years.
it's
So
been
first
several
increase in
years. Yeah.
6, 7 years. That's right, 7 years. Yeah.
Yep, and we should see a reduction in our contract costs in 2023 because in payroll, we're doing a better job of tracking and terminating employees that are seasonal in nature so that we're not paying that $1.25 each month year round for employees that are seasonal and then they might not return for 6, 8, or 10 months, so. Yep.
Good, good. Any further comments on that? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Christine, the next one, please.
You're going to make me say silver maple.
Sugar
All
maple,
right.
silver maple, Japanese maple. None of those,
None of those.
just silvers.
So the next matter seeks to set a public hearing for the proposed removal and replacement of a 36-inch silver maple at 175 Olemo Drive and a 64-inch silver maple at 185 Olemo Drive. And that public hearing will be set for January 11th of 2023. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
I second the motion for removal of silver maples after hearing.
Good.
Any discussion? Dan, please call the roll then.
Councilmember DeFonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Matters of the supervisor, we did talk briefly about leaf pickup already, thank you. Our highway crews are on their third pass through town of the leaf pickup season. They're going to be getting closer to the 12 corners tomorrow. When we get to this time of year, people start getting concerned. You know, they've been through twice and they've really picked up most of the leaves. This third pass should go a lot quicker. Except it does sometimes snow starting in December, and maybe tomorrow we'll get a little bit of snow. People get concerned. Our crew's going to stop as soon as we get snow? And the answer is no. Our crews may get diverted for a day or two doing snow and ice control work on our streets and on our sidewalks. But once they have a chance to do that and they've finished temporarily taking care of that work, they'll be back to leaf collection. But again, this should be their last pass through the season, although as weather permits, they do sometimes get out and pick up piles that they can find. I know most of you have already gotten your leaves out to the street, but in case there's anybody still working on that, please don't rake them or blow them into the street. Leave them on the grass, please. They're a danger to motorists, they're a danger to cyclists, they're a danger to pedestrians, they're a danger to kids that might still like to play in leaf piles even though it's gotten colder, and they can cause neighborhood drainage and flooding issues if they're piled in the street. So please, put your leaf piles, keep them on your lawn, by the street but not in the street. Matters of the town attorney, Ken.
Thank you, Supervisor. I don't have anything for public session. I do have one personnel matter to discuss in executive session, a matter regarding the Whole Foods litigation and a matter regarding litigation involving the CCA.
Thank you. we will do those. Matters of the town clerk.
I have nothing this evening.
Matters of the board. Well, then I want to thank Heather and Ally for your work tonight. I want to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas. Our next board meeting will be held on December 28th at 7 p.m. And can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss a matter relating to the employment of a particular person, as well as the litigation matters relating to the Whole Foods Plaza and community choice aggregation?
So moved.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll on that motion to go into executive session.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Again, enjoy the holidays. We'll see you on the 28th.